Hi, all. It's Mary Jo, talking to you today about being a flood geek. I was at the Association of State Floodplain Managers conference last week, which was our first in-person conference since 2019. And it was amazing. It was really wonderful to be there, be with everybody that I've known for so long. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've taken away from the conference, some cool things that happened, things that I learned, and kind of what I'm going to take away that, that was like some affirming for me at the conference. So, and then because I'm a dork like that, I'm also going to tell you more about my workshop that's coming up in a couple weeks. That this is your last week to register. So if you've thought about it, this is the time. So let's start out with ASFPM, Association of State Floodplain Managers. My first conference was 2004 in Biloxi, and have gone very regularly, not every year, but very regularly since then. And I wanted to thank, well, first of all, my voice probably sounds hoarse because I think I talked myself into like a sore throat. Like by the end of the week, I had spent so much more time talking to people than I have in I don't know how long. I could barely talk anymore. So my voice is recovering. It still sounds a little weird, but I did want to say thank you so much to the Florida Floodplain Managers Association. They were wonderful hosts. They put together a lot of amazing um, events and work that went into the conference and getting it set up. And special shout out to my buddy Del Schwalls. I posted a little clip of it on LinkedIn last week, but he wrote a song like from segments of Jimmy Buffett songs and performed it at the opening of the conference. And it was so brave. It was fun. It was funny. It was very Dell, but it was also just inspirational to see somebody get up there in front of 1,400 people and sing something that they put together, do this really fun, welcoming, and I'm so proud of Udell for doing that. And I think it was just brilliant. So I wanted to focus a little bit today on what struck me in this conference. A lot of things were different this year for me, not necessarily because they were set up differently, but because I experienced them differently than I have in the past. I wanted to talk about the things that I really loved and are kind of like anchoring and taking with me from the conference. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was kind of like the big takeaways of what I'm going to do differently or make sure I keep on doing. There's a lot that I learned, not necessarily from the technical side of the conference, that I want to talk about what's important for moving forward in your life, moving forward in everything as we are coming out of our little bubble of COVID. There's a lot I took away from just being around so many people at this conference. So let's start out with what struck me as different or special this time. And the first thing is the complete joy I had in seeing friends. I am always excited to go to this conference, mostly for the purpose of being able to see people that I've known for so long. And at this point, I came to the realization that I've known a lot of the people at this conference for 20 years now. And because of COVID, there was a different joy in it this time around. It wasn't just, hey, so good to see you. Let's go have fun. Let's go do this. It was just this appreciation for being together and being able to reach out and hug my friends or stay up late sitting on a patio at our hotel until 3 in the morning, just catching up and seeing how things are and just laughing together has been beautiful. The second thing that struck me this time is what I did during the conference really reflects who I am today versus who I was when I started coming to conferences in 2004. I used to really focus on the technical sessions, stuff that was focused on the engineers, some on floodplain management, but really the more engineering and mapping centric concurrent sessions and things like that. That's who I was. I was an engineer for the region. I was a policy person for headquarters. I still held on to that engineering part of me a lot. And while I was at headquarters, I started going through this shift personally of moving away from engineering to more like policy, bigger picture stuff. And then clearly, since I left FEMA, I've done a lot of changing what my focus is and what I'm doing. So I'm, an engineer by title, by licensure, by education, but I don't sit down and model anymore. My focus is really about supporting and helping engineers become leaders rather than do modeling. So, excuse me. So what I noticed was the sessions that attracted me were the ones that really focused on how communities are evolving and becoming more resilient, and using their floodplain management to make residents safer, which is important for me to understand as an elected official locally, but also inspirational to see how communities are digging in, especially those that may not have a lot of resources. There's a great presentation on the community rating system from McHenry County on how they use all their in-house resources and people to succeed in that program. And it was really exciting to see how a lot of communities are finding ways to make their residents safer without huge investments, and just whatever they can do, whatever's available to them, they're doing a lot with. That was really cool. And then I found myself very drawn to sessions that were pretty new for this conference. They were focused on equity and fairness and how we incentivize different behaviors, whether it's incentivizing the public to take different behaviors in how they manage their own personal flood risk, or how we incentivize at a higher government level local communities to do different things and do more. So it was very different for me. If I look back at what I attended in the past, in my first few years going to the conference versus what I attended now, it was pretty interesting to kind of see how that reflects who I am. The third thing I realized this time around is that I'm old. And everyone is old with me. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know who let it happen, but we need to have a talk if you're the one who let that happen. But it was this realization that when I started coming to this conference, I was like a kid. I was a young engineer, thought I was going to conquer the world, hang out, have fun, go out to the bars, wee, big party. And that's not what I do anymore. So it was interesting to realize that in 20 years, it's a long time, but I like to pretend it's not. I've gone from like being kind of the kid at the conference to like part of the old people group. Um, and there's still so many people that I would say is like right there with me. I'm not calling you old, but we're all the same, close in age. We all started in these programs together. We're all in this together, and we've all evolved in that time. But it's a unique experience to realize you've been coming to a conference or coming to this thing for so long that you've really gone from being the kid to knowing like half the people there and having some relationships with them, and all you want to do is sit down. Uh, Walking was hard. So like there's little things like that was very different this time around. Um, I had this weird realization that I started telling everybody. So you probably, if you're watching and you were there, you probably heard me say this, that when I left FEMA, I was pregnant with my youngest son at the time. And he's now just over 9 years old, which means I have been gone from the agency for 10 years, which also means I left the agency and have been gone as long as the time that I actually worked for FEMA, which kind of blew my mind when I started to realize that. I still, when I talk about FEMA, say we, and I am not FEMA anymore, but it's this part of who I am. So while I may not work there, still feels so ingrained in me, and I'm still so close to so many people there that it feels very weird when that I've been gone for 10 years. And it was surprising to a lot of people. Like every time I said, everyone's like, "No way!" I'm like, "Yeah, for real. That's how long I've been gone." So it was really interesting to start to think about that. And the last thing that I'll say, and I had posted stuff like this a while back, there's always this constant reminder that life is short and valuable. And it was surprising to me. So there was a really significant loss to the association in just the past month or two. Somebody who was very active in it, somebody who was going to be the next chair, lost his life in health-related issue. And beyond just him, there was a presentation in one of the luncheons, the people we've lost and said goodbye to. And it was startling. When I started, if they probably did something like that then, but I didn't know anybody then. The first 5-10 years I didn't know any of the people that they would talk about, because a lot of them had stopped coming. They were retired. They weren't at the conference anymore. But I'm in a place, like I said, we're old, that a lot of people that I know, or a lot of people on that list are people that I know, or that I've worked with, or that at least I have some association with. And it was startling to be kind of on that other side of this now, where these are people that I care about, and we're all getting older, and there's a lot of stuff that happens. A few years ago, we lost one really close from Indiana, and that was shocking, but it felt like different and unique at the time. Like that was just the one-off. And this conference made me realize that this is happening. This is not going to, this wasn't just a one-time thing. This wasn't just unique. So I'm taking away from that how valuable life is. So those are little things I learned, little things I saw, things that struck me as weird or different or fun. There are also a few things that I loved about this conference I wanted to share, in addition to Dell. One was connecting with new friends and reconnecting with old friends. I really realized how nothing can take the place of in-person connecting. Someone that I've known in the program for, I'm pretty sure it's been like 19 years probably. Lillian organized a dinner of a group of women that I would say all of us knew most of the women there, but we didn't know everyone there. And it was brilliant because I walked in, and actually even just riding the bus over to where the dinner was, I started talking to one of the women who I knew by name really only. I had like one phone conversation ever with her, and we were chatting on the whole way over there. So it was really cool to kind of make those connections in person, share stories, talk more in depth, and still reconnect with everybody who I have known for a long time, like Lillian and Kira. And oh my God, I was so excited to see you guys. And Jen and Allison and Caroline and so it was really amazing to be there in person, because you really can't replace that kind of ability to connect. The other one other thing that I just loved, and I'm going to take away, is how many people mentioned to me that they're watching me on LinkedIn, that they're reading my posts or they're watching these videos. And it really touched me. You do stuff like this and you throw your necklace around. No, but you do stuff like this and you don't really know for sure who's watching, how many people are paying attention. And, LinkedIn will tell me, you had 80 views of this video. I'm like, cool, but that could have been somebody scrolling by and happened to stop there. So it was really exciting for people to acknowledge what I've been doing. And I really hope that means that you're getting something out of what I offer. You're learning something from me, that you're enjoying this, and that it was really reassuring that I'm here doing this and people are getting something out of it, which is why I'm here, right? I'm doing this to try and help people. So it was really exciting for people to unprompted come up to me and say something about LinkedIn and what I'm doing. So thank you all for doing that. It really meant a lot to me. The other thing that I really loved about this conference was FEMA is doing so much transformational work right now. And I'm really lucky to be a part of one of those efforts. And it was the first time I think I've heard so many different people from FEMA talk about all the work that they're doing and how the focus has really evolved, even from when I was there. From the time that I started at FEMA in 2003 till I left in the end of 2012, um, there was a huge mindset shift that happened while I was there, from drawing a line on a map for where the floodplain was. Used to be by hand. I came in right as we started making those digital, until it became risk map and a focus on taking action to reduce risk. And in the time that I've been gone, there's been this continued shift that really has come to this place where there is this acceptance that a lot of these programs need to be like changed dramatically. So the focus is not just on maps. People are talking about, rather than that line on the map, graduated flood risk, like really where on the whole spectrum of flood risk do you sit? And that it's about increasing resilience to flooding, reducing flood vulnerabilities, things like that, which is such a different conversation than we had when I started in 2003. And it's still a different conversation than we had when I left in 2012. So it's been really exciting this week and inspirational to see a lot of my friends who are still at FEMA really engaged in all of this work. And it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But at the same time, those were the things that I love the most, those big transformation efforts, those initiatives that were, there's a term that they use, generational shift, I think, that I'm so excited for the people who are in the agency still working on those things. And I'm really thankful for the little part I get to play in one of those transformations. But it is so inspiring to walk away from there, see all this work that's being done to make people safer. And the last thing I'll say about things that I really enjoyed, um, I also realize I'm a total fangirl still, when people that I look up to and respect and have for a long time recognize something that I'm doing. It's easy to think I'm just this little peon over here. No one's paying like that. No one up there is paying attention. Um, but at the end of the conference, I had posted during one of the plenary sessions about my former boss's boss, Mr. Marsted, and he shared my post, and I literally was like, "Squee! That's so exciting!" and went up 17 octaves, and was so happy about it. Um, so it's again this really cool feeling that, like, wow, like these are people I look up to and respect, and I find inspiring, and I'm really blown away sometimes that they actually even notice what I'm doing. So thank you, David. And I know Sandra has said really wonderful things to me on on LinkedIn messages, and always blown away. So I'm going to wrap up this part with what I'm really taking away from the conference, what I want to do differently, and what I want to make sure I hold on to and keep doing. So the first is lots can be done virtually, and I do a lot of things virtually still. I work out of my house. Almost all of my work is virtual. But like I said, you can't replace those in-person connections. So I think it's really important that any of the work that we're doing, if we're really focused on being virtual, to take time to really find opportunities to get groups together, get teams together, and spend that time together. It doesn't have to be just working. I actually think, as a lot of people are coming back into their offices, the time that you are actually there together shouldn't be heads down working. When you have a limited time together, spend it on connections and relationships and doing things as a group. If you're a leader, urge you to use that time to grow your team, develop your team, and spend a lot of time with them. If you're in this hybrid situation, really take advantage of the time that you have in person together to make it about connection. The second thing that I took away really is about evolving. And I want to make sure that I don't slow down. Excuse me, that voice thing again. I know that when I start feeling uneasy about where I am in my career, what I'm working on, things that I'm doing, or even my personal life. It's because I've stopped moving forward, and that's what it usually takes for me to recognize that. But this was a great reminder that I want to keep evolving. Just as I saw how what I used to attend and go to in concurrent sessions in this conference, from technical to this more um, motivational side, uh, less technical, more interpersonal work. Um, I want to make sure I don't lose that. I want to make sure that I'm continuing that same growth mindset and path, which is something I also preach all the time to clients. Leaders evolve and grow, and it's really easy to lose sight of that in yourself. So I want to make sure that that's right, Cindy. Shout out to Rachel and Rhonda. You're darn right. um, Working in so much that's transformational. But I do, excuse me, want to make sure that I don't lose sight of that. And I want to do that proactively. So that was a good reminder for me before I get into that place where I'm like, oh, why am I unhappy? Oh, yeah, because I'm not doing anything new. And related to that, the third thing I'm taking away is I want to keep expanding my network. I've got a great network. I've got amazing people that I've managed to develop relationships with and get to know. And I love that. It's funny that Cindy's making comments because I got my peeps from Ohio that I know that I can always count on being at the conference, and will always be able to catch up and hang out. And that was some of the most fun I had this week, was just sitting down with my Ohio folks and hanging out. And in addition to them, I want to keep growing that. And the dinner that Lillian organized was totally an amazing example of that. To be able to really sit down and get to know two of the women who work in the same space we do, who are doing a lot of the same stuff, who are very much in that same place, was invaluable. And I don't know if I would have gone outside my comfort zone, because I know so many people there to really make that happen. So I'm very appreciative that someone else made that happen, and we can do that for others. Fourth thing I'm taking away is to value each moment we have together in person. Take time to appreciate each other, to tell the other people that you work with what they do for you, how they impact you, what you value about them, and focus on the things that you love to do. Life, again, is short, it's unpredictable, and we don't always have those opportunities. So whether it's because of a loss of a friend or someone that we work with, or we could be shut down for 2 years, take advantage of those moments that we're together. There were a few nights that I was like, I'm so tired, I'm going back to my room, I'm going to sleep. And I would come upon people hanging out at the pool bar or hanging out in front of my tower in the patio. And I was like, I'd rather be exhausted tomorrow than miss this opportunity to be with the people that are meaningful to me. So I'm going to make sure I keep doing that. And I couldn't say more to you about doing the same. And then lastly, take time for you. And I don't mean just like do self-care and take a break and meditate. Those are all wonderful. But while I was there, I got a massage because I could. And how often do we actually take time to do something that's indulgent for ourselves? And this really was. And it was so needed. Like, I could barely move my neck when I got down there because I've been like this intense. But it was very much needed from mental and physical health perspective. But it was also taking time to value myself. And that's another thing that I talk about a lot, is you have to value yourself. You have to invest in yourself. You have to do things that are really for you. I went to pastry school because I love to bake, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but it really was important to me and valuable to me. And I've gotten a lot out of it in a variety of ways, not just how to bake, but I learned a lot of other things too along the way. So indulge yourself, put value on yourself, and do what's important to you. So those are my reflections on being a flood geek. I do want to wrap up, excuse me, by talking quickly about the leadership boost. This Friday ends the registration period for this workshop I'm doing, and the idea behind the leadership boost, it was very energizing this week because I kept thinking to myself, "Oh, I would love for you to be in this workshop. I'd love for you to be in this workshop. Oh, I really want you to be in this workshop. I want to work with you one-on-one coaching. Oh, I really want to work with you coaching," because I could see and was reminded of how amazing people are that I know and work with, and that there's still this additional potential. There's still like more they can do, and man, I just want to help them get there. Um, but I know a lot of people right now are overwhelmed, they're stressed, and it's hard to take time to really focus on yourself, focus on your development, get a coach, things like that. So I created this workshop to, in a much more quick, small bites over 3 days, um, an hour each day, hour and a half if you include Q&A time. Um, for people who feel like maybe they're in a stuck place with their leadership skills, they're not getting recognized for being a leader, maybe their performance as a team isn't what they think it should be or could be. I really want to help you learn how to lead with confidence and inspire your team to succeed. And the goal of this is to do it in a short time period, make it really effective, and give you the tools you need to then work on this over several months with some support in the background and access to me and the team. So the idea of the Leadership Boost workshop is that you'll propel yourself up the ladder of leadership. And you're going to do this by leading your team with total confidence and ease, developing your team into being very cohesive and highly productive, and in turn, inspiring action and getting the results you want. That's simple, right? 3 days, an hour and a half each day. The first week is over lunch period, like we're in school suddenly. The second week I'm offering it 2 separate sessions. The second week is later in the day, starts at 4 PM Central. I've got the link on the screen now. I'll stick it in the comments. I love Cindy. Flood Geeks rock. But I will stick in the comments the information for how to learn more about the Leadership Boost and how to register. The one thing that I want to make sure is clear about this is that we are ending registration. Sorry, I was just making sure that the comment went through. That we're ending registration Friday at midnight. So right now this is $99, and after this initial workshop, I'm not going to offer it again at this price. I'm absolutely raising the price to what the value of the workshop is. First time out, doing it for less money just because I'm asking you to invest in me. I'm asking you to invest in yourself. This is going to be new territory for you. I'm going to offer it cheaper right now so that you have the ability to jump in and try it out and see how it is. Spend a lot of time also talking about a larger coaching program that I do called the Inspirational Leader Accelerator. And that is a bigger commitment. But this workshop is intended to give you a peek and give you a little bit of a jump start on that accelerator so that if you want to do that down the road, you're already kind of inching down the path, getting yourself moving in that direction with this workshop. So small investment, smaller time commitment. The accelerator is a longer duration program, but it's going to take you really far. So I'm going to, as soon as this wraps up, put that same information on LinkedIn. And Friday at midnight, it ends. So if you're interested, go to this link, check it out, learn more, email me questions, comment questions here, whatever you want to do. But I'd love to have you join us. I've got a good group forming already. I've got 6 people that have bought in and 3 others that are looking at it and have said they're going to, just haven't pulled the trigger yet. So please join us. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a good group. I know everyone so far that's signed up, and it's going to be fun. So join us, please. And if you can't this time, I'm sure there'll be other chances. And if you can't at all, just keep watching me here. That's fine. I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks for listening to me be a Flood Geek, and take care.